The United Nations investigating British government over human rights abuses caused by Ian Duncan Smith's welfare reforms. The UN is to visit the UK to investigate whether Ian Duncan Smith's welfare reforms have caused grave or systematic violations of disabled people's human rights, it's been reported. A leading disability charity says that they have been contacted by the UN Committee on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities as part of an investigation into human rights abuses against disabled people in the UK. Inclusion Scotland, a consortium of disability organisations in Scotland, says the UN committee has advised them that they will be sending a special repertoire to the UK in the near future as part of their probe. Director of Policy Bill Scott told the Sunday Herald, the UN have notified us they will be visiting Britain to investigate and want to meet with us when they come, sometime in the next few months. So, get this. Our government, a government that we the people voted in with the majority, a government that we knew was going to hammer the poorest and disabled the most, because they told us before the election that's what they were going to do, a government that is of and for the bankers, well, this government is going to be investigated by the United Nations because of human rights abuses to disabled people. And this comes just a few days or so after we hear that 2,500 people died shortly after having their benefits removed as they were deemed fit for work when they clearly weren't. And we only know about these figures because 250,000 people signed a petition demanding the DWP release these figures. The DWP did their utmost to prevent these figures ever being released because they knew it would cause a huge embarrassment. And Ian Duncan Smith at one point even said that they didn't even have these figures, which of course was another lie from that balding twat. They simply didn't want us to see these figures because it shows that in apparently one of the richest countries in the world, our own government are killing their own people directly because of their policies, by withdrawing the lifeline of the most vulnerable in society. Our government may not be killing these people on the streets with bombs and guns, but killing them they certainly are. Just stop and think about this for a minute. The United Nations are having to investigate the United Kingdom government because they're abusing their people to death. Maybe the police should get involved. Isn't eugenics illegal in this country? Isn't ethnic cleansing illegal in this country? If I caused the death of thousands of people, I would expect to be in jail. Ian Duncan Smith, David Cameron, walking around, respected, apparently, and free. Will anyone get in trouble for this? I doubt it. Will anyone call for a no-fly zone over London because of the way our government is treating and killing its people? Where's John McCain on this subject? He wants war everywhere on the planet. Why not war against the people in London because of the way the government are treating its people? Government kill more people than they help nowadays. They kill the poor whilst they give ministerial posts to drug money laundering, terrorist supporting bankers. Utterly disgusting. And I will say it again. If you voted for the Tories, you should be ashamed of yourself. Can we survive another 4.5, nearly 5 years of this murdering government in power? What are we going to do about it? The idea of protesting seems to have dampened now. I think we all think that Jeremy Corbyn will save the country. He won't. I reckon he's being allowed to become Labour leader to prevent an uprising so that we can all shut up now, Corbyn's in charge, and we can go back to sleep. The change that we need will not come from an establishment party, no matter who is their leader. We need a grassroots party based on common sense. Remember that? Common sense? But let's be honest, we have such a docile, iPhone-loving, selfie-adoring, X-Factor lusting, look at my pouty fish face population that we won't do anything about this. Some will try, But 250,000 people signing a petition is nowhere near enough to affect change. It needs to be 10 million, 20 million people, all demanding Ian Duncan Smith be sacked and tried for murdering these people. And we need this amount of people to force the government to introduce some policies with empathy, rather than policies that kill the poor and help only the bankers and big business. What about the next financial crisis, which some believe is just around the corner? What happens then? We all know that the Tories will give the bankers as much money as they want. It literally will be hundreds of billions again, if not trillions. After all, what's the point in buying off politicians if they can't help you when you're in trouble? How are you going to feel about that? More austerity, more cuts, more state-sponsored murder in our country, all to pay the bankers' gambling debts. Again. Money, I might add, that has never and will never even exist. We may as well start beheading people outside Parliament like Saudi Arabia, our friend, does. And what about the billions Cameron wants to spend to kill people in Syria? Where's this going to come from? Why don't we demand this money is spent now on improving people's lives here, rather than destroying them in a far-off country in order to help bankers and to increase the share price of arms companies? The United Nations are going to investigate the UK government for abusing human rights of its own citizens. Where does this end, people? When will enough be enough? How many times have I said that?